Welcome to the Stateless Codecast. This is episode number 55 in our series nerddice.com, where we create a Ruby on Rails application for managing tabletop role-playing games. And starting back on episode 51, we began the journey of upgrading the nerddice.com application from Ruby on Rails 7.0 to Rails 8.0. And we've got a more extensive introduction to kind of that process in that video number 51, and since then we've gotten to the latest Ruby version. We went from version 3.2 to version 3.4 of Ruby. We upgraded Tailwind CSS from version 3 to version 4. That was a major version upgrade and enough of a hassle to warrant its own video in the series. Then we upgraded in the same video the rest of the bundle other than Tailwind and Rails to the latest versions, and then upgraded Rails from the latest version of 7.0 to the latest version of 7.1. And then in our previous video, we went from version 7.1 to 7.2. In this video, we hope to go from version 7.2 to version 8.0, which we'll be back to the current version of Ruby on Rails, hopefully by the end of this video. We won't be all the way done at this point, so we'll have to make sure that and this checklist is kind of a living checklist. I added in an item to take care of a coverage issue that came up when we went from Rails 7.0 to 7.1. So that'll likely wind up being its own video, and then we'll take a look at our GitHub actions, make sure all of our new features that don't get added by the Rails app upgrade process get added. So we'll make sure that we have a Jenkins file and that we've got Kamal and solid trifecta all installed and everything, or at least ready to be installed. We'll make sure that we're using prop shaft for our asset pipeline and all that stuff. So we will get started now. So we're going to go back to the upgrading Ruby on Rails guide. This can be found at guides.rubyonrails.org. And we are going now from version 7.2 to version 8.0. The noted changes in the upgrading guide are much shorter for 7.1 to 7.2 than they were from 7.0 to 7.1. And in 7.2 to 8.0, there isn't anything called out specifically. There are changes. So if we go to the release notes here, there'll be a bunch of different things related to the major features of Rails 8, but it's not to the level of being called out in the upgrade guide. So we're going to now, if we go to rubyonrails.org, it is still 8.0.2, so that's what we're going to put in our Gemfile. So we'll get into VS Code, open our Gemfile, and Rails will be now 8.0.2. All right, we'll go into our terminal here. Now that we've got the Rails version updated in our Gemfile, and we'll run a bundle update. Test all here. We haven't done anything to do the upgrade task yet. This is just making sure that nothing obvious breaks our tests. All right, so that has succeeded. Now we will run the upgrade task. There have been sometimes when we've done this, it'll warn you about the conflicts, and for the most part, I have just gone and let the app overwrite the file after examining the diff. The things I keep adding back in is in the development.rb and the test.rb files. I need to set the mailer port there so that things work. So that's the main thing that I wind up needing to go back and change that was overwritten by the config file. So we will run our app update here. We have a conflict in Puma. Let that override. Look at development. I think we're okay on all of these. I'm just going to save the mailer options information in case it gets blown away. And we'll accept the overwrite there. I will take a look at production, accept the defaults here. This app isn't in production yet, so we'll just go with the Rails 8 defaults. I don't believe I've modified this from what was generated. And then in test, I anticipate that we'll need to, let me go back into development before we continue and make sure that okay, so by default, it does set the default URL options in Rails 8. So I'll just let the overwrite take place there. Take a look at our test RB. Looks like that one goes to example.com. We'll see if that breaks anything in test and let that happen. We can always restore it from what we've got in development if we need to. Taking some convention over configuration. Assets. We will let the overwrite happen there. It looks like it's just comments anyway. Parameter logging. This is probably the change. This is probably the difference between the style that I've got in RuboCop and style in Rails, although this does have new attributes. So we'll let this happen and then we'll let RuboCop autocorrect the format of it, but we do want the values there. All right, bin dev. We will take the default version and let that overwrite. Bin setup, take the defaults there. Got a 404 conflict. And we've got an error. That's interesting. Undefined conversion error. All right, we'll run this again, and I'm just going to let it overwrite. Same thing here. We'll let all of these overwrite. I haven't customized any of these 400 codes yet in the app, so we'll just let all of them overwrite here. We'll run a test all, see if that change to example.com caused any of our tests to break. It did not. Now I'm going to follow the same thing I did in the other items here. So we'll bring up the new framework defaults for 8.0. You can see there's not much here. The regular expression timeout, the strict freshness, and time preserves time zone. So I'm just going to go into application.rb. We will load defaults for 8.0. We will rerun our tests. Still passing. Now we're going to do our, there we go. We're going to do our manual regression test of what we've got so far, which is pretty much just the devise, sign up and confirmation and sign in and all that stuff, that workflow. So we've got our app here. We will sign up. Stateless code at example.com. We've got the confirmation message, which should show up in our logs, or the confirmation token with the link with the token that we can use now. And email address has been confirmed. Now I should be able to log in with my newly created user, add in a wrong password here, invalid email or password, log in, visit the members area, go back to the welcome page, manage my account, and then I will cancel my account. It's still provides the "Are you sure?" prompt. And then we've got the buyer account has been canceled. We will now log in, and this user should no longer exist. And we're good. I want to now take a look at the Git diff. So we'll stop the server, hit clear here, get our status. The new framework defaults, we want to delete that file. So that is now gone. We'll take a look at our diff here. So our Gemfile just moved Rails from 7.2 to 8.0. I still have Sprocket's Rails here. We'll deal with upgrading things like prop shaft in the next video, most likely, or within the next couple of videos. And then all of our changes with regard to the Rails stack, those are all looking good. Look at our changes to our setup files, config load defaults. Those are comment changes, server headers. Okay, that is just changing the server header, file server header to lowercase c's there, and then it moved the memory store down farther in the file. Commenting changes, got rid of some disallowed deprecation stuff. Changes to comments. Perform caching is defaulted to on. Now our cache age has been increased due to solid cache. Config assume SSL has been uncommented out in production. I need to run RuboCop or my build will fail. That's all comments. That'll might get changed back by RuboCop. Okay, the core extension integer time. I wonder if that was a default item. I may need to look at that and get it back, but nothing came up in the tests. Options, changed to example.com, and that seemed to be fine. Got rid of some comments there. Added some attributes there. Add the solid Q plugin. And then these are HTML files that are different with SVGs and stuff. If that's the end of the diff, then we don't need to. Yeah, those are all the config, all the public stuff. So we'll be fine with that. Now we'll run RuboCop. Okay. Our fences have been taken care of. Just to be ultra paranoid, I'll rerun my test suite again, and we're good. I'm going to commit everything. I'll write my message. All right, I've got my commit message. I will save the file, close everything, push to the remote. While we're doing that, I noted in the commit message that there were a couple other subtasks that I'm going to move to done here. So we're going to move this one to done. Outstanding framework default configurations are taken care of, and then ensuring that devise still works. All right, so our build is passing. We are running Rails 8.0, but we are not quite done yet. So we've got to fix a code coverage issue that emerged when we moved from Rails 7.0 to 7.1. And then we also need to make sure our GitHub action is updated if needed. So there are some new features like brakemen that get added by default in Rails that I don't think I have listed as among the things there that need to be enabled. So we will have roughly 2 to 3 videos left in this upgrade path before we merge it back into the main branch. And then we'll get back to starting to design and build out the features related to the entity diagram that we have created and actually start developing user features other than the devise log in and log out. Thank you for watching. If you want to catch the rest of these episodes and the ongoing episodes in this series, make sure to hit the subscribe button. If this video was helpful to you, hit the like button. Feel free to engage in the comments, and thank you for your time and attention in watching this video. We'll see you in the next one. Code along on an end-to-end journey through the creation, design, and development of a Ruby on Rails application for managing tabletop role-playing games. We start from Rails new and will guide you along the journey of the entire lifecycle of the application. You'll get to see real-life, real-world problems and challenges as we try to deliver value for our users. Visit statelesscode.com to level up. Shut up, frogs. And then we'll get back to really shut up, frogs. Hack the stateless code.
Nerd dice.